What's up, everybody? I'm Air. I'm the executive director of Compound. And thank you all for being here today. As Serena mentioned, Compound is a creative and cultural sanctuary here in Long Beach, California, and we foster the intersection of contemporary art, wellness, and community impact. And part of our wellness programming is Healers in Residence, in which we discuss all kinds of holistic ways of healing and just being. And I just couldn't be more thrilled and honored to have our special guest with us today. My man Stic from the legendary hip hop group Dead Prez is with us, and his partner Afya Ibomu to discuss the art and science of holistic nutrition. So I'm going to be asking Stic and Afya some questions in the first half of the discussion. And then if anyone in the audience wants to ask further questions, feel free to just shoot them in the chat, and I'll try to get to as many as possible within the time frame. So first, I'm going to give a little background, little bio of both Stic and Afya. Stic is the founder of RBG FIT CLUB and a world-renowned hip-hop artist, producer, and half of the legendary hip-hop duo Dead Prez. After going through a personal health crisis with gout and embracing a plant-based lifestyle for healing, he was inspired to a new life path of holistic fitness, including multiple martial arts, long-distance running, and meditation, culminating into his own eclectic, holistic, and sustainable lifestyle, philosophy, and advocacy. The combination of his unique hip-hop and holistic lifestyle experiences inspired him to create the first ever Fit Hop album, The Workout, in 2011, which sparked a worldwide following for his RBG FIT CLUB brand and movement. Stic's highly anticipated sequel, Workout 2, was released February 28, 2020. We needed it in 2020, y'all, I'm just saying. And it's currently the #1 download on Amazon, Google Play, iTunes, and sales in the fitness music category. And the dude has a million other things going on, but y'all got to stay tuned to Stic and his new endeavors. Incredible artist. He's one of my heroes. Afya is a holistic nutritionist, author, the vice president of RBGFitClub.com, and has been plant-based since 1990. Afya is certified in holistic health and holds a bachelor's degree in nutrition. Her fourth book, The Vegan Remix, was released in 2015. It was named one of the best vegan cookbooks of 2015 by Vegetarian Times magazine. Afya's third book, The Vegan Soul Food Guide to the Galaxy. I mean, come on, y'all. What is that all about? Was nominated for an African American Literary Award for Cookbook of the Year. I mean, that's incredible. And she is the author of the Get Your Crochet On pattern book series that have sold over 30,000 copies. She is a celebrity nutritionist and crochet designer working with hip hop artists such as Erykah Badu, Common, Dead Prez, and Talib Kweli. Stic, Afya, welcome. Really appreciate you guys being here. Much love. So I'm going to ask you guys, some questions, and I would like to start off with just health and nutrition in general, because we hear so many things online, through social media, through the websites and all kinds of stuff of like what constitutes good health and nutrition. You got your paleo people, you got the vegan people, you got the Mediterranean diet people, no fat, full fat, all the goods. So just from your perspective, what to you defines good health and nutrition?
Well, first, I want to say I think that health is a journey, more than anything. It's a place that we're always striving to be at. And if you think of health in a holistic way, holistic means whole, your whole life, everything that you're doing in your life and how that affects your health. A lot of things that you said were like diets, ways to eat, but your health is way more than just the food that you eat. It's part of it, but it's more, your health is built up of more than that. So when you think of holistic health, you want to think of different areas of your life, like your happiness and joy, your relationships, your career, your money, your education, working out, your mental state, as well as your diet. So when you're thinking of all of those things, you kind of want to think of them as how balanced are you in those? Because if any of those are kind of out of whack, that's going to affect your health. For example, you can be like, oh, I'm eating all raw, I'm doing this and it's working for me, but I just lost my job, right? That is going to add stress and anxiety to you. And what that's going to do is that can also
Mm-hmm.
affect your health as well, right? So it's not just about diet, it's about how are you handling and dealing with all these different aspects of your life and how can you get those in balance. And then when you can do that, you are at a state of wellness. But like I
Mm.
said, it's a journey because things are always coming at us every day, all day from all over the place. So no one is going to be perfect. So we're just striving to be our best and feel well, making sure that you
Yeah,
feel well. I'm feeling good. Do you have to pop pills for headaches? That kind of stuff. So are you just feeling well? Are you feeling at your best most of the time? That's what we're all striving for as far as being healthy, if that makes sense.
absolutely. That makes 100% sense, no doubt about it. And I like the emphasis on wholeness because I think a lot of people when they do think about health, they may think about nutrition or whatever they're putting in their body as a singular sort of activity that may constitute whether you're eating healthy or not. But that wholeness is what it's all about. And I like the tie into emotional stress. But what do you think are the essential building blocks for nutrition in and of itself that could support the wholeness of a human being? How should one begin those steps or that journey, if you will, to kind of put that package together?
Well, I feel like our kind of philosophy is there is no one way for everyone, right? I feel like in the Western society, we have a tendency to try to put everybody in a box, right? And say, this is the way or this is the way, right? But that's not really how we want to think about nutrition. We want to think about it as how does it work for us, right? There's no one way. And there's not even one way for ourselves because our diets are going to change throughout our lives, right? So when we're first born, you're having breast milk. You know what I'm saying? When you're a
Mm,
teenager, your nutrition needs are different. If you're pregnant, your nutrition needs are different. If you're training for a marathon or if you're a bodybuilder, all of those things are different needs. He is 6'2", he's a male. Me and him have different nutrition needs, right? So it's about learning how to listen to your body and learn how what works best for you. In general, I can say, eat mostly plants.
mhm.
Um, but that is kind of where you start at that point. But everyone's body is different, and we have to get into the space of learning how to listen to our bodies first, and
Mhm.
then it will tell you what you need in that space. Did you want to say something?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, interesting for me, coming from the space of music, right? Um, when you said, what is wellness, like, what makes us healthy, right? And it's like if you ask yourself, what is a great piece of music? Like what makes music great to us, right? And there's some details that we could go in. We could debate over, is this great or is that great? But it's how it makes you feel, right?
Mm,
And the, how it nurses you in different ways, right? And we use
mhm.
music, or sometimes we need music to push us, right? Sometimes we use music to help us relax, right? Um,
Mhm.
to celebrate, right, or to mourn, right? So it's there's an art to it, to what health feels like, and what I mean, just like in terms of music. So but and like she said, it involves listening, you know to
Yeah.
your body. They both involve that. So I think it's healthy to approach this health thing like art, like
Mhm.
expression. Like, there's 7 colors in the rainbow, 7 notes on the scale, but look at the myriad of magic that we can make happen in this whole.
Absolutely.
But I can say some basic things like, eat 3 servings of green vegetables a day, minimum. Make
Mhm,
sure you're getting your water in. Eat
mhm,
as whole food as possible. Those are some basic places to start.
mhm,
Um,
Mhm.
that that works for most people. It's hard for me to say this is a diet or this and that, because, I know people who might be allergic to all kind of stuff, right? So
Right,
I can't,
right.
you need to do this because that doesn't work for their body. I have a friend whose daughter, she can only eat vegetables, maybe 2 or 3 fruits, a couple of beans, and meat. If she goes off of that, she'll have seizures, right? So how
Mm,
can I what I think that she needs to have on her? You know what I'm saying? So that's where it
right,
comes back,
right,
listening body. If you are eating meat, it should be organic, it should be wild, no more than 3 ounces, no more than once or twice a week, those kind of things you can throw in and you can start with, and then, building from that point and see, what works best for you. I've been vegan 25 years, plant-based for 30, so that works well for me,
hmm
but I can't say someone else must do that also. So
right, exactly. Yeah, I think that's a really important point. And it just sounds like too within the art of it, it's all about variety too. You have to have a variety of different food, items that really kind of connect with your overall well-being. You can't just do one thing, even though I know people do that, but I think variety is, Stick was alluding to, is like the spice of life, right? So I also wanted to kind of touch base too on community, because eating is part of culture, eating is part of community, and a lot of people don't have access to high quality nutrition or to high quality food. So I just want to know your thoughts about that in general, on making sure that, for our communities across the board, especially nowadays, post COVID, like how do we really stimulate the community to eat well?
Well, I'll start. It's the same as, a lot of what quote unquote marginalized populations don't have access to a lot of things, right? Uh,
Mhm.
Representation and power, for
Yeah.
one, and the list, we could list. But how do we get it, right? We
Mhm.
get it through our own agency. We get it through those of us that recognize those needs, right? We make it a priority, and we attempt to solve those problems for ourselves, and then scale that for others, right?
Right.
So I think it's the same approach, and we got to watch the narrative, right? Because this whole idea that we don't have access to healthy food is true, but it's also misleading, right?
Right.
Um,
Right.
it's true in the sense of, the only thing on your corner is a liquor store and, fried chicken joint, right? And you
Mhm.
got to go miles somewhere else to get a piece of lettuce. Then it's true in that sense.
Right.
But a lot of times is how we frame what health food is, and we think it's like a health food store, or, a super expensive deluxe, packaged health food goods or whatever,
Mhm.
and on the gentrification of that to say we have health in our community. But the healthiest food in any store or any place is the produce. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
It's also the in a store.
Mhm.
So food with high water content. So I think we got to kind of challenge that narrative, and remember that throughout history, whenever we were deprived of whatever, it was our agency,
Right.
not no nothing else.
No, 100%, man. No doubt. Yep.
Made what we need. Yeah.
and I think that, work that we do, from our cookbooks to music, there's a lot of people out there, working to make for there to be access. There's all kind of new refrigerators popping up around with food in it that people can get free.
Hmm.
There's different things that's going on. And I think that, sometimes, like he said, it's up to us to take our health into our own hands. If we don't have
Mhm.
stuff in our, how about grow some food, right? We can
Yeah.
grow right? If you have a little bit of land, you can always grow some food. If you don't have any land and you have a terrace or a patio, you can grow all kind of food in pots, you know, tomatoes, bell peppers, kale, lettuce, all kind of herbs. If you don't have anything and all you have is a window, you can grow food in a window, right? So
Yes.
you, and that is very inexpensive and cheap, and it's a way to get healthy food into your lifestyle.
But
No
the
question.
elephant though, Aaron, is in the room is that the mentality that it
Right.
takes to do these, you know, we simple things we talking about, eating
Yeah.
greens, eat
Yeah.
water, grow some food, you know. But so we do have to, like she said, holistic is uh it shows how important mind, mentality, the perspective, the attitude
Hmm.
is, and then understanding that a lot of these fast foods and junk foods and, you know, quick convenient kind of things have chemicals in them designed to interfere with your
Right.
clarity, interfere with
100%.
freedom of choice. And so being mindful of that, working on this like a practice, you know, not in judgment of yourself or other people, but just
Yep.
knowing what uh and it's a long-term commitment. It's not about extremes right now, but it's about you know, what's sustainable will stick with you, right?
Right.
And you know,
Right.
we nourish will flourish.
Yeah, no, no, no question. Well, I mean, it's interesting you say that about the frame of mind and the mentality, because I think about that all the time, especially for community relations, community engagement, of collectively trying to change the individual behavior, or at least inspire it, because I don't know if you could change everyone, of course, but and honestly, like Let's Get Free and Dead Prez album, that that was a powerful, inspiring work of art that kind of ignited me and said, oh, I got to get my shit together. And I'm trying to, so it's no, 100%. So like I want to know what are the agents now of change now in the community? Like what how do we get people to kind of start shaping and changing their minds to really make these choices of better food that they need to nourish their body and nourish their mind.
I think it starts with self ultimately. You have to be the change that you want to see, right?
Hmm.
You have you want to see in the world, and then you will help to inspire others also. I think there's a lot of influencers out there with big followings, and people are changing their diet, they're changing their lifestyle.
Yeah.
Music is another way. You know, music is people are saying things like Big Sean is talking about being vegan, you know, little things. Um, you know, Beyonce, you know, those things help to at least spark the thought that there is a different type of way that you can live, you know. So
Right.
it's all different. I think that um, we can't say that what we're going to do is definitely going to change someone, right?
Right.
All we can do,
Exactly.
we can be the example of what the change looks like, and then hope that that inspires someone else to live a healthier lifestyle.
Facts.
100%. No doubt. All right, let's pivot a little bit to cooking a little bit, because I know you put out some cookbooks now. I know it. And I know, the pandemic was crazy because I think quarantining and everyone being at home, you had to learn how to cook a little something, to the grocery stores, you didn't have access, or fast food or whatever was shut down. So I want to know, like, what are some key, like, insights into how to cook your meals, what to take into account. I mean, mostly I hear people say that I just don't have the time. So then there's the impulse to, like, just pick something up, and then that becomes habitual and addictive, and then the cycle kind of continues. But how do we, take that time to learn how to cook and sit with your family and connect? I mean, that slow, patient process in and of itself, I think, is healing, right?
It is definitely. And, that's not an easy thing to do. Like, that's even difficult for us to sit down as a family in our house. I actually put it on my vision board to make sure that we are trying to do that, more together, because everyone has different schedules and, all of that. But in general, when I make our meals, what I think about is we have a protein, we have a carbohydrate, and we have a green vegetable. That is the general building blocks of our plate. The protein is like a tofu or beans or like a veggie burger. The carb could be rice, it could be sweet potatoes, purple potatoes, kind of winter squash, any type of green veggie. So that's the general. And then you want to make sure that you're having some raw food every day, some cooked food every day. You want to have both, because raw food have enzymes, right, that help to spark your processes in your body. So it gives you more energy. And then cooked, you want to have cooked food also because nutrients can increase if they're cooked. For example, like spinach has more calcium, greens have more calcium when they're cooked as opposed to them being raw. But when they're raw, they have the enzymes. So you want to have a mix of raw and cooked food every single day, making sure that you have, like I said earlier, a minimum of 3 servings of green vegetables every day. Why greens? Because greens are very alkalining, they're very cleansing, they're high in iron, calcium, and all types of vitamins, and they just keep you healthy and feeling great. So those are kind of the way that I kind of think about our meals. Pretty much we do light saute. I'll use coconut oil or avocado oil. Those are the 2 main oils that I use for cooking. Sometimes a little steam, sometimes some roasting, sometimes frying. If I'm frying, my oldest is like, "What? You're frying? I can't believe it." Balance, you have to have the
Yeah.
balance. And we
Yeah.
eat out. We eat out all the time, because even in my book, The Vegan Soul Food Guide to the Galaxy, I show you where you can eat out at all different restaurants that are plant-based. There are cultures that have been plant-based for thousands of years, Indian and Ethiopian, ITAL, or the Caribbean community. They have healthy food options, Chinese food, Japanese food that you can eat. You can still eat out. It's just about what are your choices when you go to those places. So we eat out
Right.
all the time. I don't mind eating out. What are you choosing? Instead of going to, like McDonald's, you're going to your local Ethiopian restaurant or your local Indian space where they're fresh food every day, they're cooking plant-based meals, and they're cooking whole foods.
Absolutely. That's so great. That's all. Because I was going to ask you, like, what is the daily for you guys? Like, what, like morning, breakfast, lunch, dinner? Like how do you balance it all out? Because I know you both have really busy schedules, but that kind of sums it up, which I think is really, really awesome. Well, let me ask you this though, just about the kids though, because there's this big thing, and I think it's still true with obesity and the crisis going on with child obesity and things like that. And a lot of that may come from the school systems or other variables or whatever. Like, I mean, how do you motivate your kids? I mean, I'm sure that they watch you and you feed them and everything like that, but like I mean, I have a 14-month-old, and like I'm trying to do the bean thing, and he's like, I don't like the beans. We're the meat, So I'm trying to figure out what's the steps for, like, I don't know, good nutritional parenting. What do you do with that?
Well, they say you're supposed to offer kids one food at least 100 times before it's a no, right? So
Oh,
all these
wow.
different foods, they offer it at least 100 times in their life before it's like no. Because as they get older, their taste buds change. They're like, okay, I'm tired of eating. I've been eating, peas and carrots forever. Let me try something else, right? And then you want to try different types of ways. Like my youngest, he'll eat raw carrots, but he doesn't want cooked carrots. So you want to try raw, you want to try cooked, you want to try frozen, you want to try different ways to give them the food as well. And our kids grow up in our household, but it's still a fight,
Right.
to get them to eat. Yep, I'm eating these Brussels sprouts. They're not doing that.
I
It's
know,
like,
right?
Here's how I'm.
I love it. I love it. This is reassuring, by the way.
Check it. 5-year-old, you said, how do you motivate your kids, right? This
Right.
gets him single time, right?
Okay.
Instead of, you know, eat your food, you know, and you can't get up or something like that, right? Which never works. You have to say, don't eat that. Whatever you do, don't eat it, right? He's like, what? You mean I can't eat it? You're like, yeah, nope, I don't want you to eat those
So you're
greens.
playing the opposite. Yes, I got it. Yes.
He automatically, he goes, what? I'm eating it. I'm eating it. I'm like, I'm gonna get you, man. And then like the other day, I was telling him, I was like, if you keep eating those greens, because you're not listening, if you keep eating those greens, you're gonna mess around and get any snack you want.
Oh
And
my
I'll say
God.
that only works for him. That does not work for me. So I have to tag team, you know, in different ways. You know, I'd be like, oh, eat no phone. You better eat them greens and you not get no phone. You do this, eat your greens, you know. So you have to kind of have many different ways, you know, throughout the
be creative.
Be creative as possible, because rarely kids are just, our oldest was like, he was like, oh yes, I'm eating whatever you put in front of me. You know, he was like the ideal child, the rebel. And he's not doing nothing we want him to do at no time. Have all different ways and creativity to get them to eat.
Oh, that's really good insight and advice. And I gotta take you up on the opposite thing. I like that, you know, like don't eat this, you know, for sure. I want to talk, and I know Stick, you're really big on this, but you know, nutrition is clearly not enough. You know, you also have to move your body. You also have to do other activities to kind of, you know, bring about that goodness, you know. So I'm curious, like, how do you balance out moving and exercising and fitness with, you know, eating? I know it's all encompassing, but how do you balance out your day or week with that kind of activities? Because I think for a lot of people, it just seems like it's overwhelming. You know, it's like you're always hearing all this information and this is what you should do. And it's like, so you kind of want to retreat as opposed to engage. And I don't know, is there a simple kind of frame of mind that you use in your life?
You're so right. For me, I recommend this to different people. We have a phrase, finding your fitness, right? So you know, there's something, I believe that there's something that you can do movement wise that will bring you joy, that will make you sweat, and that will check that off the box, right? So some people it's dancing, some
Yeah.
people it, you know, rollerblading, some people it's lifting iron, right? Or martial arts, and some people like to mix it up and a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that, you know, right? Challenge, you know, entering races, just whatever it is to keep yourself motivated and energized and discovering new adventure, right?
Right.
For me, I simplified. So for RBG Fit Club, we have this. Our philosophy sums up in 5 principles. We call it the 5 P's, and which are knowledge, nutrition, exercise, rest, and consistency. Right. And so in the exercise section, which, you know, as we're building, there's 4 pillars. There's strength, there's flexibility, there's endurance, and then there's what's overlooked a lot is vitality, right? And strength training is resistance, right? Overcoming resistance. We know flexibility is moving your joints to their full range of motion, and we know endurance is about cardiovascular and respiratory efficiency, right? But what is vitality? Vitality is like that category of like pranayama and qigong, internal breath work, right? And that is your kind of like the food plate, you know, with the proteins. So as far as exercise, you know, strength, flexibility, endurance, and vitality is your menu.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in in an ideal world, you would have something that touches on those 4 pillars regularly in your life. For
Mm-hmm.
me, I'm a runner, right? That's, you know, I train in martial arts. I do different things, but running became my go-to. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll do it early in the morning before, you know, other things got to happen. I'll do it in the
Right.
midday, stress relief. I'll do it in the evening to kind of let go of the day. You know,
Yeah.
so you know, you use these things as not like a chore to do, but like you get to do it. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Not
Yeah, 100%.
do it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
No question. Yeah, well said. Really important points. I really want to ask you both personally on your own health journey. So, like, who inspired you? Like, how did you come up with this whole path? You know, I mean, it's so admirable. And now Stick, you got the fit hop thing and building in that way and using art and to kind of bring in health and well-being. And then there's people, I think, that you're on your own journey, but you have that moment where you're like, okay, I can see clearer now, and you take that path. What was that for both of you?
Well, I was really sick as a kid. I had asthma, allergies, irritable bowel syndrome, chronic dehydration, migraines. I was on like 8 different medications a day. I was always in and out of the hospital.
Mm,
And I was 15. My mom found an allergy specialist that said it could be the foods that I was eating, that was causing some of my health issues. And that was kind of the first time I related food and health. And then at that time, KRS-One had a song out called Beef, about being a
yeah.
vegetarian, in the food industry. And at 15, I was like, all right, I'm a vegetarian, but that was 30 years ago. So there was no internet, there was no Google, there was no cell phone, there was no, you know, computers, there was none of that. So I
There was
kind
no
of,
tofu.
well, there was tofu. So figuring it out myself. And so going on this journey, I was a vegetarian first, just trying to heal myself pretty much. And then we moved to Brooklyn. He got gout when we were very young in our early 20s. And there was his sister, Queen Afua, who was like an OG in holistic health. And she taught us about being a vegan and taking out dairy and detoxing and cleansing and all of that. So we healed him naturally from gout within a few weeks with no medication because the doctors wanted him to be on medication for the rest of his life. So it kind of started my journey of trying to heal myself. Queen Afua, Dr. Africa, people at that time was very inspiring and motivating to us. And that's kind of how I kind of went to that space. And then also my mom got MS. And once she got MS, for about 2 years, she was taking all of the medication and doing what the doctor was saying. And it was getting really bad. She was, falling down. She was gaining weight from the steroids. Her speech was starting to slur. And I was like, look, you've been doing this for 2 years. You see what they got for you. Let's try something else. So we took her off all her medication. We put her on a raw vegan diet with supplements and herbs. And literally her health improved in about a month, right? She
That's
hasn't been on
unreal.
any of that medication, and that was over 20 years ago. And if she would have been on the journey that people are usually on the journey, she would be in either a wheelchair right now or she would be dead, right? That was 20 years ago. And she's not even keeping up with her vegan diet and all that. She knows, sometimes she'll do green juice and stuff like that. But just I think
Right.
that spark of
That
healing her
foundation. Yeah.
helped her. And now 20 years later, she's living on her own, doing her own thing, right? Which is very rare if you have MS for 20 years, right? So that what motivated me to like go to school and become certified in holistic health and get a degree in nutrition and all that kind of stuff. So that was my spark.
Amazing story. I mean, it's clear food is medicine, right? I mean, it couldn't be more clear, 100%. Stick, did you wanna chime in?
I mean, I got smitten by this one, and how am I gonna argue with that? You know what I mean?
I know, right? Exactly.
Here I am, street life, man. Coming from South Side, Tallahassee, Florida. moving to Brooklyn, Crown Heights. I'm blowing it down. I'm sipping. I'm coping with stress. I'm self-medicating, just from the oppression
Yeah.
of life, right? And so gout, but she mentioned, I woke up with gout, but I never look at that as a bad thing. It's such a blessing, right?
Mm.
It's like when your pops, check you, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
feelings in that moment, but the love of your pops, like sitting you down or bringing it to you or making you do some push-ups or something challenging, make you paint a
Yep.
room or um, for me, it sat me down and made me see what the power I have in my choices,
Right.
and it allowed me to become humble, right? Which is
Hmm.
the first, what I believe is the first stage of learning, or in any way, is to become a white belt instead of like, I'm gonna just do it this way because it's been done this way and whoop whoop, and
Yep.
to really white belt, sit at the feet of my wife and the other elders who have this experience, and really say, all right, I'm gonna get put on.
Right.
I'm about to listen, and I'm about to actually, like, I'm gonna be stronger than ever, yo. And I was
Mm.
like, I started, what I mean? I really seen it
Yeah.
like the way I adapted to the gangster stuff and the G code that I thought was the lifestyle. I was like, I'm gonna apply that to all this healthy shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
No doubt.
it became just this dope adventure, man. I mean, that same leg that I had gout in, went to my first kung fu class, right?
Mm.
And then I learned, footwork, and I learned discipline and consistency in Wushu Kwan Kung Fu, and then African martial arts, then Bruce Lee's martial art. And
Mm.
that just transformed all my warrior energy from the block. It went
Hmm.
to self-development, right? Went
Right.
finding myself, right? So and then boxing gyms, and the boxers put me on the running, and then running, I was like, yo, how did I discover this late in my life, and I love it so much, right?
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
this path for me has been an unexpected path to joy, right? An
Right.
unexpected path to enthusiasm, man. Like, I feel like a teenager, you know what I mean, in terms of like, and it's just through moving the body and eating some greens and having a great partner, and that is nourishing, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So
No question, man. Beautifully said, man. Yeah, it's bliss, right? I mean, you get to that level where you have that balance on all fronts, and going back to what Afia said about wholeness, it's bliss. You enjoy your life. It's as simple as that. With family and friends, and it's wonderful. So yeah, thanks for sharing both of your journeys. And another interesting part of dining that has kind of taken some mainstream action as of late is this whole idea of mindful eating. Like being present with your food, because a lot of times, I grew up, pops was, we were watching TV and doing other things, and then we would dabble and just eating, and the next minute you're like consuming so much, and you're going back for a second. This happens a lot during like Thanksgiving and all these things, but how how important is it to eat mindfully and to be present, and to really taste your food and really like absorb it and feel the process, because there's so much that goes into the process of like getting food on your table, and even just being grateful in and of itself. I mean, it's hard out there, so it's like the gratefulness in and of itself is powerful. But anyway, what are your thoughts on mindfulness?
I think mindfulness starts with your choices first. Like, are you mindful of where your food comes from? Is it organic? Is it whole? That kind of thing. First, you want to do that, because you can be at peace and be relaxed and be eating McDonald's, right? Does that mean that you should be sitting there quiet and at choice, right? So it comes first with your choices, right? So are you
Yeah.
mindful of the choices of the food that you're eating first? And then, yes, is that important to just sit down? I think that we all, start and give thanks before we eat. And I even tell my son, like, the food on your plate is because there was people working in the field to grow that food for you, right? So that's the
Right.
reason why that nature is here and has this food available for us to even survive. So you're giving thanks for that. So that's very important. And yes, your digestion is better if you just sit and be at peace. You absorb your nutrients better if you sit and be at peace. But like you said, that is a difficult thing to do. And I would say I'm still working on doing that myself. But it's very important.
For me, like, couple things. So in Qigong and studying, I studied Ra Qigong with a great organization called Asar Society.
Mhm.
And one of the most profound things I learned about the way they approach Qigong is that it doesn't begin or end with the postures of Qigong, but Qigong is always in practice, right?
Right.
Because Qigong is really recognizing that energy is what we're all made of,
Right.
and it works in a certain way. There's peaks, there's valleys. You have to generate it, you have to use it, store it, recharge it, etc. Right? So understanding that about energy, whether it be the music I'm listening to, or the food I'm eating, or the perspective I'm even entertaining, right? It
Right.
allows me to know that I'm practicing qigong at all times,
Mm.
or I'm miserably failing to practice at all times.
Right.
So like, but just naturally for me, another point is I don't really eat unless I'm present with my food. Like Whitefield, I'll be working, right? And Whitefield be like, yo, you should eat something here, right?
Right.
And
Right.
it'll sit there, right? And
Mhm.
she's like, you're not eating because you're not whatever. But what it really is I need to stop working, right? Go and sit with my food,
Hmm.
relax, and just get in a space to like engage with this food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because I'm like that. With if I'm whatever I'm doing, I'm a pretty intense, focused, present type of spirit.
Hmm.
And so I think mindful eating comes a little natural to my personality, in that
Hmm.
way. You know what I mean? I always give thanks. I taught myself Swahili just to give thanks in an African language, and
That's
it,
powerful.
you know what I mean, and that has been like a mantra for me for many 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 years after the the religious indoctrinations, and you come out of that, and you try, and then you find your own expression of spirituality. um
Right.
and so I wanted to have rituals that
Hmm.
return me to center, return me forward, right?
Yep.
And so I think it's like everything she said about mindfulness, of the choices you're making, but
Yep.
just in being in communion with your food and honoring it, and like on an Anthony Bourdain level, like enjoying your food, like
Right. Exactly.
celebrating it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Wow, that's really, really important and powerful insight. Um, so I wanna allow some of the folks listening to ask a few questions. So feel free to throw them in the chat. And while you guys do that, I just want to ask you one other important question about nutrition in regards to sugar, because everyone's always talking about don't have the sugar, don't have the sugar, and like, sugar is built in naturally with, fructose and fruit and all kinds of other food products. But what are your thoughts about like sugar? I mean, I try to stay away from it as much as possible, but what do you guys think about it?
Well, when I think of sugar, right? Sugar is the first fuel that your body uses for energy is glucose, right?
Mm.
Which is a type of sugar. Anything that ends in os is a type of sugar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then your body gets that from breaking down carbohydrates for energy, right? So I think it's about, you definitely need sugar in your diet for energy, but it's the type of sugar that you're consuming is I think what people are talking about.
Mm.
So talking about white sugar, we know that is devoid of all nutrients, raises your blood sugar, causes plaque on your teeth. So just how it causes plaque on your teeth, it's going to cause plaque in your arteries as well,
Mm.
right? It lowers
Mm.
your immune system. It throws off the balance of the bacteria in your gut. So all of that. So white sugar is not something that we do, at least not at home, and very rarely. And what we do is we'll do natural sugars like a maple syrup, coconut
Mm.
sugar, or honey, because those have nutrients connected to it. So anything that you're eating that has nutrients connected to it is going to work better in your body, because your body, that's what slows it down. That's what slows down your blood sugar rising, and all of that is because it has nutrients connected to it. Then there
Mm.
is processed foods, right? Like snack cakes and cookies and all of that, which is refined, plus
Right.
sugar on top. That's going to cause the same amount of issues that, white sugar will. Like I was just going real hard on these croissants that I found, these vegan croissants at Whole Foods, right? Because and donuts I was going real hard on, but and I knew that I wasn't, I knew that my body really couldn't take that kind of stuff. And so
Yeah.
it really messed me up. It really messed me up. I was like, all right, chill out, chill out. So really it's about balance, right? It's
Yeah.
about balance when it comes to the end of the day. Not that you can never have sweets or anything like that, but you don't need to be having that every day, not
Right.
even every, and
Right.
that's kind of like even a balance. We have a battle we have with our youngest, because he always wants snacks.
Right.
He always eats because his energy is so high, right? He has a
Yeah.
lot of high energy, burns fuel very quickly. So it's about giving him nutritious things like he'll eat a lot of dried fruits or fruit in general for his sugar. And then sometimes I'll allow him to give him a snack, but then he has to eat his greens first. He has to drink water first. If we'll do something like pizza, you got to take some probiotics, you got to take some tincture, you got to take something that's going to counteract the effect of that on your body, and that
Right.
is
Right.
the
She,
rules of the house.
she's the Marines of Greens.
I love it.
Uh,
Marines is green.
we got another tool that I really appreciate is that at equinoxes and solstices, we fast, right?
Do a
So
detox.
Nice.
we do, or I say fast, it's detox, cleanse, aka fast, depending on how you look at it.
Mhm.
But
Right.
and it's I usually do like 3 days. You can do 10 days, 20 days, whatever, whatever you feeling like, big boy. But but, but I do about, and I do a liquid day, a raw food day, and then
Mm.
come back soups and like that. And for
Right.
me, I've done longer. I've done 84-day fasts. I've done all kind of different experiments. But that little tune up right there, liquid,
Mm-hmm.
raw food, around the equinox, right? Those 3
Mm-hmm.
days. Oh man, it's a renewal. It's a
Right.
it's a it's a little tune up. It's not impossible. You're still having nutrients, right? You,
Right.
you, you but it does kind of break the spell on some of the snack binges and certain things, and it and
Right.
it and it's to align, like our ancestors would always uh, advise us to align with what's going on in the heavens and the celestial,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
be in tune with it. So it's a way that no matter how far you get, 3 months later, you're gonna get that tune up because each
Yeah.
season. So,
And so I have my newest book is the 5 Season Detox, and so
Okay.
we do that as a guide, like he was saying. He'll do 3 days. Like I'm still kind of on mine because spring just was last Saturday. You can do it
Mhm.
as long as. Well, the great thing about that is because it's every season. Once you do a detox, you clean yourself out, then you start adding foods back in. It's a great way to listen to your body, right? Because once
Right.
you start foods back in, your body's going to tell you if it needs that or not, right?
Yep.
So
100%.
correctly, and we talk about that in the book, but then it's going to say, okay, you know what, I might not need that chicken anymore because now my stomach's upset after I did my detox, that kind of thing. But then we also do it with the seasons, so we eat seasonal foods.
Right.
It helps to rotate your food throughout the year, so you're not eating the same thing all year long. That gives you
Hmm.
the nutrients that you need for that time of year for your immune system when you're eating with the seasons. And then it allows you to, like, I was wilding out like right before the detox. Okay, I can only go about 3 months and then I have to restart again. So
Yeah,
it kind of
exactly.
practice of staying healthy, and each time you do it, different things are going to happen in your cleanse, but you're not going to go too far off because you're going to be doing it every few months with the seasons.
Exactly. Exactly. Wow. I love that. All right. Let me get to a few questions really quick. So Melissa asked, how do you feel about protein powders?
I don't think protein powders are necessary. I think that they are just, a corporate way of trying to get people to think they need protein. The only time that I actually would recommend them is if you are a bodybuilder about to do a competition. That is it. Why? Because need a certain ratio of fat to protein and they can't have carbs, and for their muscle, and they don't want to be swole and stuff like that. But protein powders are unnecessary. You can get all the protein that you need from nuts, seeds, beans, that kind of stuff.
And I'm no bodybuilder by any means, but I did do an experiment as a slim dude to gain 20 pounds and
Mm.
on a vegan diet, and I did it with absolutely no supplements, no protein powders, all whole foods. I'm allergic to nuts, so it wasn't no
Mm.
nuts,
And your gluten.
and I'm gluten free, so all that seitan and tofurkey and all that, I couldn't have none of that, right? So just
Right.
whole, yam and pumpkin seed and things like this. And in 2 months, man, I gained 20 pounds. And I could
Wow.
never gain, eating all the bullshit I was eating, but in
Right.
2 months, and wifey, she did my nutrition plan, and my buddy Scott Shetler was my strength coach. And
Hmm.
we documented our process, and we made a book, and we put a book out of that process. It's called Eat Plants, Lift Iron.
Yep.
And for somebody, if you're interested in a real experiment, not trying to sell you our protein powder, because I mean, but just somebody that was, like, I want to see, can I do this, right?
Right.
And documenting it, and then we give you all the recipes, we give you the exact training regimen that I did, and tell the story of the challenges and how we made it happen. So yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Eat plants. Eat plants. That's the key. um, Stina asks, what insights or advice can you offer to someone who is at the beginning of nutrition studies? And what do you know now that you would have liked to have known when you started your studies?
Hmm.
It's a good
Great
I,
question.
question.
I would say you have to decide what your goal is, right? Like, what do you ultimately want to be doing with nutrition, right? Because there's, you can be a dietitian, you can be a naturopath, you can be just a chef, you might want to take clients, so ultimately decide what you want to do. And then there's different modalities, there's Western, like I went to school and got a bachelor's degree in nutrition because I had got certified in holistic health counseling, but I felt like because we live in a Western society, if I don't know how to read someone's chart or A1C um, levels, then you know, I couldn't really help them as much as I wanted to, you know, but there is, you know, Ayurvedic, there's traditional Chinese medicine, you know, so there's all different types of healing modalities that you can choose from. So I would say kind of do your research on that and see what are your ultimate goals,
Mhm.
to know where you want to end up and which path you want to go down.
That's a great answer for sure. All right, maybe time for one more question. You kind of talked a little bit about, you know, your vegan proteins. Do you have a favorite vegan protein, by the way? Anything that you guys go to? I know you
Pumpkin
mentioned pumpkin, pumpkin seed.
Beans, you know, that's pretty basic. You know, you can, there's all types of beans, all types of lentils. You can have them in numerous different ways. Yeah, beans, I would say, is my favorite.
Beans. Word up.
Don't sleep on pumpkin seeds.
Yeah.
Seriously, if you compare a fourth a cup of pumpkin seeds has the same amount of protein as a hamburger, right?
Mm,
And if you're buying protein powders, you know, $60 a bag, and you know the canister, you know,
right.
$60 is whatever, you know, a big gigantic bag of pumpkin seeds can go in the same blender in the same shake and give you protein for a tenth of the price.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
it's a
exactly.
big ball and go ahead and get the protein powder.
And it's a
All
whole
right.
food.
And it's a whole food, no doubt, no doubt. Well, I love Michael Pollan's you know, little short little summary of how to eat, which is eat food, mostly plants, not too much. I think everything that you all shared kind of is right in that kind of little mantra there. So I really appreciate both of you. I love you both. You guys are amazing. And I appreciate all the inspiration. And yeah, stay tuned for more. I mean, I know you guys have so much to look forward to. And so definitely check in on rbgfitclub.com. And yeah, I think that wraps it.
Thank you guys. And do some research on fermented foods.
Yes.
Found.
Sleep
Yeah.
on that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much we could go into. I know it's crazy, but
Yeah. Thank you for having us, man.
Thank
This
you.
is beautiful, Aaron. Appreciate
no
you.
doubt. Love you guys. All right. Well, take care and have a wonderful weekend.
All right, you too.
Peace,
Okay.
peace.
Bye-bye.